This video, I'm gonna show you. In this video, I'm gonna tell you how you can save hundreds of dollars just by buying one saw blade, and I'm gonna tell you about it right now. That's right, in this video, I'm gonna show you how you can get the Diablo amped Sawzall blade and actually eliminate purchasing 100 other blades just by picking out the right blade. Now, this video is brought to you by Ferguson. We teamed up with Ferguson because of what they do, the people they can connect us with in the community to bring great information to you. So if you need these blades when this video's over, go to Ferguson.com and pick yours up there. Now, Diablo makes a ton of blades. The main one I'm going to talk about today is the new amped Carbide teeth blade. And this is phenomenal. It is for thick metal. So as plumbers, this is the main blade that we go to when we need to cut cast iron pipe. Now, you know, we specialize in slab leaks and leak detection. So we cut out cast iron pipe all the time. The last thing that you want is to actually try to cut a piece of pipe and you've got a bad blade. So it either takes you forever to do it or you got the wrong tooth count, so it grabs it and breaks it. Maybe it cracks it all the way up into the slab. Now you've got to chip out concrete just because you didn't have the right blade with you. So starting at the beginning, the first thing you need to know is how many teeth count. You've got to be able to pick the right blade for the right job. Now, just a rough thing off the top of my head, I've always gone less teeth per inch for plastic, for wood, because you want the teeth there to get a good cut, and more teeth per inch for metal because it's not going to jerk as hard, it's going to cut a lot smoother, and it's going to give you a finer cut. Now, if you're going for a very fine cut, you can also use a finer tooth on wood or plastic if that particular blade is designed for that type use. So the things you really need to know are, what are you cutting? Metal, wood, plastics, all the above? Do you want one blade that you can carry with you all the time? I recommend a few different blades, but we'll get back to the amped up Carbide tip here in just a minute, but I like several different blades. Number one, it depends on how big a product I'm gonna cut, how many cuts I'm gonna make, how smooth I want it to be. There's a lot of things to think about when it comes to it. That's why it's really neat that we use Diablo, because they have so many different choices. So like I said, what finish do you need? Does a rough finish even matter, or does it really need to be smooth? That's going to be determined by your teeth per inch. But your teeth per inch will also determine the speed of the cut. How fast of a cut is it going to be? If you're in a hurry and you're trying to make 1,000,000 cuts a day, that's something you may need to think about. So like I talked about a while ago, the lower tooth count is going to give you a faster cut and a rougher cut. The more teeth is going to be a slower cut, but it's going to be much smoother. Your blade doesn't jerk. It's not grabbing big chunks and pulling. It is literally a very fine cut. Here's why I like multiple blades. Blades also come in multiple lengths: 4, 6, 9, and 12-inch blades. It comes into play when it's determined how big a material you're gonna cut. So say you're gonna cut 2-inch pipe. Now, you really want 2 to 3 inches past it. So instead of going to 4, I would probably go to a 6-inch blade just to make sure. Now, if my reciprocating saw does not have a lot of stroke, if it short strokes it, what I may want to do is go ahead and go the 4-inch blade. That way I'm getting full use of the blade while I'm cutting, and it's gonna give me more uses out of it. So if I was cutting 4-inch pipe, I'd probably want to go to a 9-inch blade. I could go 6, but if my reciprocation is long where it pulls it in really far, I'm gonna be banging the inside of my pipe. It's gonna cause problems. It could bend the blade. There's a lot of problems there, and these are things that I don't wanna happen. Also, look at the blades. Are the blades you're buying bimetal, or are they carbide tip? Now, this actually is what the blades are made of, how they're done. I used to think bimetal would cut different kinds of metals. It's actually the construction of the blade. So knowing that it's made of the construction of the blade, it's two metals put together to make a hardened blade. This is going to let you get more cuts out of each saw blade, which is exactly what we're looking for if we're trying to save money. We don't want to go through a blade every single cut that we make. That can get very, very expensive, and I'm going to show that to you here in just a little bit. So bimetal blades are normally what we get. That's what we buy most of the time. Now, the carbide tip actually has a carbide tip on each tooth. So what this does, it gives us a harder surface to cut with, it gives us a better cut, and it makes the blades last so much longer. If you're wanting to save money at the time of purchase, bimetal blades may be the way to go. But if you want a longer blade that's going to give you a better cut and more performance, you definitely want to go a carbide tip. And I'll show you in a few minutes how it's going to be worth the investment to do that and why it's a smart idea. As a plumbing company owner, I'm always thinking about money. Think about the consumables you go through. If you can spend $200 on something and it buys 20 of these, but you only use them once and throw it away, or you spend $20 on something and you get 40 uses out of this one, and it still might be around to last even longer, which way do you want to go? I'm looking at the best investment, not necessarily the cheapest tool. And remember one thing too, whether I'm talking about bimetal blades or carbide tip blades, the teeth per inch, that's not all tied together. So the carbide tips can be on more teeth per inch or less teeth per inch, depending on what particular blade you buy. All right, so now let's go back to this. These are a cheaper blade. Now, cheap saw blades cost about $3.25 a piece. Okay, so let's say somewhere in the middle. Let's say $3.15 each, so $315 to buy 100 blades. This is 50. So you're gonna have 2 stacks of these, 100 blades that might get you a cut or two, especially when it comes to cast iron, when it comes to hard metals. PVC and wood may be different, but these are relatively fine tooth blades, nothing really coarse. What I would be looking at is going to the Diablo carbide tip amped blade. It will give you up to 100 more cuts per blade. Now think about it. If it'll give me 100 more cuts than this blade, I'm gonna be saving money. Now I can buy that blade for about $15. So think about it, $315 for 100 of these or $15 for another one that'll do the same amount of work. It's gonna come out better. It's gonna give you better cuts. It's gonna last longer. And when it comes to saving labor, and I know it doesn't take much to change out a saw blade, but if you've got them out on your truck and you're making trips back and forth because you didn't carry all 100 blades in there with you, that could be a labor savings. And anytime you can save labor, that can save you money. So when I talk about the carbide tip, I'm talking about the amped carbide teeth that I use for cast iron, for metal, stuff like that. This one is the general use purpose. You take one of those other blades and use it to cut through a piece of 2x4 with nails in it, you can lose a blade on one nail. These are definitely worth the investment. So even on the carbide tip general use blades, you can get up to 50 times more use on the steel 100 times. And in the business that we're in the trades that we're in, where you may be cutting metal quite often when it comes to all thread rod, hangers, conduit for stakes, but where I like them the most is for cutting cast iron pipe. It's gonna give you a nice smooth cut that you're gonna be able to tie onto, and it's not gonna crack the pipe. It's not gonna make your job even harder. Now, just a couple other things I wanna show you. They also make hole saws and the adapters for them. I love the snap lock adapter that comes with 5/8 and 1/2 inch threads. And I don't know that I've ever seen a hole saw blade that would be easier to change out, or the pilot bit. Literally put it in and lock it, and literally you've got 5/8 or 1/2 inch threads for your hole saw bit to screw right on there. Guys, this is nice. This is something that we used to have to fight a lot to swap blades out. I love the fact that they've put something together so quick and easy and give you a snap lock just to put it on and off. Not too bad. Like I said, they've got a ton of blades. I love the cutoff blades. These things are amazing. And a complete speed bit set. I love these paddle bits. These are amazing. Diablo's putting everything together to make it easy to give us what we need. The big thing to remember is, are you picking the right blade, the right bit for the right job? Do me a favor, leave me a comment down below and let me know, do you stock enough blades and enough bits on your truck to make it easy for you to do your job? Guys, number one, thank you to Diablo and thank you to Ferguson. Teaming up with Ferguson has been great for us because they help us learn new things and present new things to you. Make sure you go to Ferguson.com, check out the website, and check out all the tools and resources they have to help you do your job better. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the Expert Plumber. I'll see you in the next video if you don't get flushed.